This video is about permutation and combination, what they are, how we calculate them, and how we determine which we use in a particular question or scenario. Alright, first let's look at what they are. Permutation, the key thing about permutation is that order matters. Okay? And the formula is taken as NPR, where P represents permutation, N is the total number of people in the study or the total number of terms, while R is a selected number from the total number. Alright? This is, so if you have your calculator, you can put this in your calculator. If you don't have a calculator, you can use this formula. Okay? It is n factorial divided by n minus r factorial, and we will explore what this factorial thing is. Okay? Now for combination, order doesn't matter. Alright? And it is taken as NCR, where C is a combination, and we already look at what N and R, what those represent. Alright? If you don't have a calculator, again you can take this formula. N factorial divided by N minus R factorial times R factorial. Alright? But let's look at what this factorial thing is. Factorial is the product of an integer and all the integers below it, all the way to 1. Alright? So for example, we have 4 factorial here. Pretty much what you're doing is counting backwards while multiplying the terms. Alright? So if we count backwards all the way to 1, it would be 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So we're counting backwards and we're multiplying all those terms. This would be 4 times 3, that is 12, times 2, that is 24, times 1, that is still 24. So 4 factorial is the same as 24. Okay? 3 factorial, we're doing the same. We're counting backwards, but we're multiplying them. So it would be 3. You always start at the number. You always start at the number and count backwards. Okay? So it would be 3 times 2 times 1. So 3 times 2, that is 6, times 1, that is still 6. Okay? Alright, so that's what this factorial thing is about. Let's look at an example how we differentiate between a permutation or a combination. Alright, as we said before, in a permutation, order matters. And when it says order matters, if you're talking about people, then once they have different roles, they have different job description, they have different function, okay, then that would be a permutation, because then their job matters, their role matters. Alright? Good. So this one says the ski club with 10 members is to choose 3 officers: captain, co-captain, and secretary. Okay? How many ways can those officers be filled, or those offices be filled? Alright. Now, in such a case, remember that the role of the captain is different from the role of the co-captain. And the role of the secretary is different from the role of the captain and co-captain. So we have 3 different positions here. We have captain, we have co-captain, and we have secretary. Each of them have different functions. So because their roles are different, then that would be a permutation, because the order matters. Okay? It's just like you would run a race. It matters if you come first, second, or third. Your position matters. Okay? So this would be like your position in the company or in the club. Okay? So it matters. That would be a permutation. So the total number we have in this case is 10. It is 10. So this would be your N. Okay? But you're selecting 3 officers. So this would be your R. Okay? So this would be 10 P3. Coming from this formula, NPR. So remember that your N would be the total number, which is 10, and your R would be the selected number from your total number. Okay? So if you can put this in your calculator. So if you're using your calculator, you put this number first. So we hit 10, and then we hit math. We scroll all the way over to PRB, and then scroll down. Let's come back up here. Scroll all the way over to PRB, and then scroll down to NPR. So we hit that, and then we hit our 3, and that would give us 720. So there are 720 ways this thing could be done. Now we also made mention of factorials. in the event that you don't have a calculator, you could use this formula here. So we know that it is n factorial divided by n minus r factorial. So our n is 10. So we are counting from 10 backwards to 1. So it would be 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 divided by n minus r. So it would be 10 minus 3, which is 7. So that would be 7 factorial. So that would be 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Now if you observe this thing carefully, you will realize that this part can cancel this part. Okay? So all we would have left is just the 10 times the 9 times the 8. And let's see what that is. So this would be 10 times 9 times 8. And that would still give us our 720. Okay? So anyway, you would get the same answer there. Okay? So remember, it is a permutation because each people selected have different position or different role. Okay? Let's look at example 2. Example 2 says a 4-person committee is to be elected from an organization's membership of 11 people. How many different committees are possible? Now, did they mention that the 4 people that will be selected will have different roles? You'll have like the president, vice president, or no, they did not mention that. They're just saying that they need 4 people out of 11 people. So it doesn't matter. It's like you would have a class of 10 students and you're just selecting 4 to do something for you. It doesn't matter if it's boy or girl. So in this case, because it doesn't matter, this would now become what we call a combination. Okay? So this would be our n is the total number of people, which is 11. Or r would be the number you're selecting from it, which is 4. So this would be 11C4. And we can put that in our calculator. So that would be 11. And then we hit math. Come over to PRB. Come down to NCR. And then hit 4. So that would be 330. Again, if you don't have a calculator, you can use by hand. So this would be n factorial divided by n minus r factorial times r factorial. So we know that n is 11. So n is 11, so that would be 11 times 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay? Divided by n minus r. That would be 11 minus 4, which would be 7. So that would be 7 times 6. That would be 7 factorial. This part would be 7 factorial. So that would be 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 times my r factorial here. Remember that my r is 4, so that would be times 4 factorial. So that would be what? 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. But I want you to pay attention that this part here, this part could cancel this part. Okay? This 3 into itself 1, 3 into 9 goes 3. And this 4 times 2 will take out the 8. So all we would have now is 11 times 10 times 3. So let's see what that is. So it would be 11 times 10 times 3. And we would still get our 330. Okay? So this would still give us our 330. I hope this thing's a little bit clearer. We will be doing some more videos on combination and permutation to make this thing far easier. Have a great day.